it doesn't require everyone to look through a book, right?
Yeah.
So I just feel like it's a little easier with cards to look through your classes, look through your skills, look through your spells and things like that. Hi, welcome to another episode of the Hobby Hangout with Asu and Dave. Thanks for joining us. Now, before we get into the topic...
So you're not going to let me speak, that's what you're saying.
All right, go ahead.
No, I was just going to get into the topic.
No. Before we get into the topic, we've also had quite a few comments about army building. There's a lot of interest into Warhammer Army in our last episode. So, what's the thoughts? What's going to get you to pull the trigger and start playing? Or at least start looking and collecting?
Well, we already have Warhammer stuff. So, let's just give it a try again. But also, there was the one comment about, what was it, Moonstone, that you also mentioned?
Yes, yeah.
And it's funny because one of the comments from one of the shorts, they said how, he will look at reviews and replayability and things like that while the wife just looks at the art. And so, not just on the art, but Moonstone, just the name itself is like, it calls me. Even though you already mentioned that it's objective based, and we already agreed that that's not the one that I prefer the most, but just based on the name, I may be open to give it a try. And then there was another one that was also recommended that you also mentioned that's one that you were looking into, but I can't remember which one it was.
Maybe Warcry?
Oh, Warcry I want to try, but no, there was another one. Because Warcry, you just learned that there was...
So there's a compendium apparently, because I don't have all the stuff, obviously. I just have some more bands. But yeah, supposedly there's a compendium that allows you to, I guess, build your own warband based off of any miniatures in the range. So yeah, that might allow you to build a warband just using demons.
Yeah.
But yeah, I'd have to look for the book.
And then there was one of the other comments. Now I can't remember which one it was. There was a comment, and you mentioned that that's one that was kind of in your list to look into, or that you had already looked into.
Moonstone.
Is it that one?
Yeah.
I feel like there was an extra one.
No.
Okay. Well, we've got three options now.
Yeah.
And we just gotta start playing.
Start giving them a try. Yeah.
I'd say, just so we can get it done faster, let's start with Warhammer. Let's just start with Fantasy too.
Warhammer Fantasy?
Yeah.
The most complex rule set?
Well, no, but that's the one that I played before, right? I'm just thinking maybe if I kind of dust it off so that I have a good, I guess, memory of when I start comparing it with the others, right?
All right.
I need to dust off my baseline. Because what we used to play,
I don't feel that confident that dusting off is going to happen quickly.
We'll see. We'll see what happens.
Yeah.
So, but most recently we were just building our characters for Daggerheart.
Daggerheart, yeah. You want to show the cover there?
Yeah, let's move on to RPGs today.
Our main topic today. We want to talk about a little bit about role-playing games because we are diving into it a little bit more.
I don't know if this is going to look good or not. If not, then we'll just snap a picture.
Slightly different positions. There we go.
But you did it too fast. What are you doing?
No.
That's exactly it.
Daggerheart, yeah. So we started diving into Daggerheart. We're setting up, I guess we're still in session 0, still character creation. But I guess I wanted to get first, I guess from the player's side, what are your first impressions from character creation?
Yeah, and let's just put it out there for the record. We are newish, yes, I guess.
New to role-playing games.
Yeah, new to role-play game. This is not the first game that we've played. But generally speaking, we're not proficient players. So I don't, and I was telling you this, right? It felt easier than when we created our D&D character. And I can't really put my finger on what it is that is making it easier. I don't know if it's that maybe you got more proficient at helping us. or whether just having this card system that allows me to, because like, you know, like going back to other comments that I've made before, and based on the comment that this one person made here, right, is like, I'm more biased towards the art rather than what it actually does. So I think that just having all of those different cards to choose from and see, like, kind of like envision what my character
Help
will
you
look like.
envision.
Yeah, it kind of helped me figure it out. And then with the main thing, what was it, the race that we picked first, or was it the class?
The class was first.
Yeah, so with the class, you don't have an actual image, but I think that just having the different options and the one sentence of what it means, it was very helpful for me to narrow it down to the ones that interested me the most.
Yeah.
I don't know. So again, I don't know exactly what it is, but it felt a lot easier. And I remember with the D&D that we had to be doing a lot of rolls and then writing things down. And I remember erasing them again and writing new things down. I don't remember exactly what we were doing or if it was a mistake but it just felt like it was too much. Whereas this one just felt a little bit more smoothly.
Yeah. All right. And what are your thoughts, I guess, on...
Well, hold on. What were your thoughts on like being on the facilitator and the one guiding us through it?
So I felt, I don't know if simpler is the right word, but I definitely felt like it was easier to create a character. And not that the characters aren't complex. Like there's still a layer of complexity there as we're building them out and differentiation between the players. Funny enough, 3 of our 5 party members decided to be druids. I believe we were on the cusp of 4 of them being druids.
Yep.
I shared that with my coworker and she was laughing that, I don't think it's going to end well. But we'll see. We'll see how the story unfolds.
I mean, let's just... Because you said, right, like we're playing, what's the scenario? Something about Umbar?
Yes, we're playing in the age of Umbar.
Yeah, and then the one thing that you read was that you're gonna die, right?
Yes.
I mean, it was more
not
elegant.
That you're gonna die, but that you shouldn't play the game trying to keep your character. Like that shouldn't be the purpose of the game, is to try and keep your character alive, because that's gonna limit your risks. So the game is telling you in this campaign you should swing for those risks. And if your character dies, they die.
Heroically.
Heroically. They will die heroically, yes. But it's sort of encouraging you in this story frame that you shouldn't limit your risks. Like, take those risks. It's okay for your characters to die. This is supposed to be a very dangerous world.
Yeah, but I mean, and I'm wondering, like, what everyone has to say about this. When you create a character, do you get attached to it? And I think that when we started that, after you read this from the book, my comment, and I think that everyone kind of like heard it, was, don't get attached to your character. And so for me, it was like, okay, I'm not going to be a warrior, which I'm usually picking, because I don't want to get attached to my character. Like, there's no way for me to say, oh, I'm not going to become attached.
You can just make another warrior.
No, but like, if I'm putting all of this effort into a character that I'm so proud of, I don't want it to die.
Well, it's not, I think, yeah, maybe I'll reiterate that. That shouldn't be, like, you want to create an attachment to this character.
Well, then you scared us off.
Tell the heroic tale of your character.
Okay, so learn from his mistakes. Yeah. Don't tell people that. Phrase it in a much different way.
Yeah. But yeah, I guess back to from my perspective, I just felt like every action that we were taking to create a character had a clear outcome and reason why we were doing it. Mm-hmm. Yeah. Whereas, and again, this isn't a comparison to D&D, like a pros and cons thing, but it was just different with D&D, where, like you said, you're rolling dice, you're placing your scores on the various traits, and those scores then turn into bonuses later on once you start filling more things in. But at the time of creating those, they don't mean anything to you. You're like, okay, so am I writing this down? Why am I writing this down? And it only starts to make sense as you build more of that character and finalize it. Whereas in Daggerheart, I just felt like every action that you were taking on your character creation sheet, it was clear the
You
reason,
could visualize your character
as you're
being
doing,
being built like that. Yeah.
There wasn't any obscurity in what you're doing at all. It was all very straightforward. And because it was straightforward, it just felt simpler or easier. Not that it isn't a complex character. I think there's still enough there that you're creating your layers, and we still haven't got to the questions and around the background and how the party members are going to meet each other and everything. But yeah, I am enjoying it more.
So when you helped your siblings create their characters one-on-one, do you remember how much time it took you to create a character?
I think it was
over an hour.
Yeah, I guess it was probably about an hour and a half, maybe. I don't think it was 2 hours, but it was like an hour and a half each.
Each of them.
Maybe 2.
Yeah, and when we did it together, your brother, our daughter.
That was just like 2 hours.
Yeah. So with this one, we spent what, hour 15 minutes building it, and
5 of us. Yeah, but we didn't finish. So it's
yeah, we
probably
didn't
take
finish.
a full 2 hours to do 5 of you.
Yeah, so then it's gonna take about the same time then.
Well, I mean, it'll be 2 hours for 5, whereas last time it was like
Well, for you.
spread across.
Well, for you
For
as the one
players to stay
facilitating.
around, yeah, for the facilitator, it's a lot longer the first time. But again, that could have also just been from my lack of familiarity with the system as well.
Yeah.
So I don't want to compare time-wise, but just the feeling of it, I just felt it was easier.
And I think, like on top of that, you're facilitating the creation of characters for people that are in different locations, right?
Yes.
So we're doing
some
this
here in person,
yeah. Some of them in person. I know our daughter likes to ask questions and just speak over everyone else that is on the call. And so then they have questions. There's a little bit of delays all the time, and then you're trying to share material, sharing your screen. So it's not the easiest, and even then, I feel like it didn't feel like there were frictions, I guess. Like it just felt that we were going at a good pace for everyone. Because I feel like when we were creating the D&D, it was 3 of us in person, and even then we were going at different pace and like just getting lost because everyone was asking different questions, and I just felt you having to look for the information that we were asking you about was like going too much back and forth, and then a lot of downtime for the other ones. So in this one, for whatever reason, I feel like we're all, going together at the same pace, and yeah.
I do like the card system, to your point, both from the artwork perspective, but also from the ease, I guess, of being able to distribute that. So both, if you're in person, you have the cards available, but they've made all the cards available digitally as well. So, I can share the files if I want to and have everyone look at them separately. So it doesn't require everyone to look through a book, right?
Yeah.
So I just feel like it's a little easier with cards to look through your classes, look through your skills, look through your spells and things like that. So all your subclasses.
Now, I will say that my character so far, it seems like it's very weak as a starting point compared to the character that I was able to create for D&D.
Well, we haven't gotten to your skills yet, your spells. Abilities, I think is what it's called.
Yeah, but didn't you read off some of them? And it was like, for example, when I was considering being a druid.
Well, again, it comes to your classes, right? Like a druid isn't intended to be the muscle. That's how I was like, you're all picking druids. And then I think you picked a sorcerer, right? Which actually overlaps with druid skill sets. So the amount of skills that everyone's had, like 4 of the 5 party members are all sharing the same skill sets. So it's going to be very, very narrow scope in what your teams are, in your team's or your band's versatility.
Well, you know what? If it doesn't go that well, then I'll just change to my usual warrior.
But you've got a seraphim, my sister. I think she's going to be the heavy hitter. She's going to be carrying the squad, I feel.
A frog.
An 8-foot frog. Yeah.
Did she end up getting wings? No, right?
She's going to go with the wings. But then that was before she picked the ancestry.
Yeah. Okay, so then character creation so far, it's been enjoyable.
Yeah.
Did you actually, I mean, from my perspective, did you ask your siblings?
No, not yet. I haven't asked them.
Ah.
But I mean, I've
Biased opinion here then.
biased, but I didn't get any. I mean, they still seemed engaged even the day after, right? They were messaging in the chat group, asking for their updates, getting the images of the cards,
Right.
so they could attach them. So they still seem very engaged. I'm interested to see how the second part goes, because I know you've always mentioned you're not big on the narrative in the story.
I read that and I was like, no.
And the second part of character creation is that. So it's going to ask specific questions about your character, and it gives you prompts. It gives
Okay,
you
so we're
specific prompts.
recording this episode a little bit too early then, because my next impression is gonna go downhill.
I don't know about that. But yeah, and then we still haven't gotten into the mechanics really with everybody. So I'm interested to get into that and explain everything of the duality dice and the hope and fear, and being able to pass things with hope or pass things with fear that will still cause outcomes. And essentially when you roll with fear, they give me tokens. And so I can build up these tokens, and you're going to be able to see them as we play. And then I can use those tokens to trigger things out of sequence. Even if you guys are just, doing something, I can say I'm going to use fear to introduce this event or whatever, right? So I'm interested to see whether that adds tension to it and how it goes. But yeah, well, we'll see how it goes. In the process of developing the story. So,
How much help? Sorry, go ahead.
Well, I just wanted to share, we went through the various campaign frameworks that are in the book, and the decision was to do the Age of Umbra, and it had nothing to do with, I know Critical Role, I just kicked off that one as well, but none of the participants were even aware of that. So it's not going to be tied to anything that Critical Role is doing. They're running their own campaign, and I'm making sure that the story that I'm developing is going to be very different from what they're running. So yeah.
Yeah, and then so we had another option, right? Because I think one of my suggestions was to start with the easier level, like they had, right? But I think that everyone was just very much into this campaign. What was it? Was it chaos related, or there was something that
death
everyone
and
was
destruction? Everyone seemed to be up for death and destruction.
So my question was, in terms of you creating that story, are you getting enough help, or if you were to compare it with, I mean, I don't want to keep comparing with D&D, but that's pretty much the only other experience that we have other than the Goblin Quest.
Well, I mean, but in D&D we used the starter set, right? The essential kit, which the essential kit comes with a campaign book.
And it already comes with the story and everything?
It gives a lot of detail, yeah. Obviously there's still narrative that I had to create, but a lot of the places that you have to go, the people that you're going to meet, the monsters are all sort of outlined in there, what you want to be doing in all those scenarios. So this book doesn't have that. This book gives you the world, essentially. So it's describing the world, what you should build in the world, how people should interact, what are the outcomes, in the Age of Umbra, Aether Weavers for magic, right? And magic's seen as something that could be sort of reverend and special, and people are gonna come and flock to you, or it could be people are angry or hatred towards it. So it's something special that's not normal or common. So it gives you a lot of that background and information just to build your world around, but it's not. They're not giving you scenarios in there. And
so how are you? What's your thought process, or not thought process, but what is your process in developing that story then? So this is the first time I'm doing it. Yeah. Where are you learning from?
So I guess, to be fair, on their website they do have sort of an introductory. I think it's 4 or 5 acts. So I read through that. It is very basic, but
4 or 5 what?
They call them acts, scenarios. I guess one leads to the next act, like a story or a movie.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
I thought you said acts AXE.
Okay, no. So, but I figured, okay, I'll take little pieces of that and put it together, and then start building on that. And then, just playing around with myself, essentially. Sorry. Just playing around with the story myself.
Okay.
All right. So yeah, just putting the
Thanks
story
for the
together.
clarification. So you didn't get anything done then? Okay, yeah.
Yeah, it's getting there. I don't want to spoil the story for you, so I'm not gonna.
Yeah.
But I'm. It's. It's kind of developing slowly and figuring out how I can have a main story, how your actions, the team or the party's actions will potentially influence the world. And I do think I want to try and develop a central antagonist, although they may not be apparent from the beginning. All right.
Okay.
Okay. I guess I'll have to cut it there for a little bit at least.
Okay, continue.
But I think story-wise, I don't think it's any different than any other. Like if it was D&D, I think it'd still be very similar in terms of the story-wise, because the story isn't impacted by the gameplay or the structure. How you interact with the story will be different, but the overall narrative, I don't think would be any that different.
So you were talking about having tokens of hope and fear
Yeah.
that you accumulate. Like, I don't understand how you will use them in a way. Like, could we potentially predict in which direction you could go, or?
They can be used as part of like the overall story whenever you're taking actions or traveling and things like that, right? They're also triggered in combat. Now I don't want to go into full.
Yeah.
This isn't a mechanics video, but yeah, they can be used in combat. So as you, the party, are taking actions, so it's not like D&D where you roll initiative. So it's very different from that. The combat is very different. Where your party is taking actions, you're going to be building fear tokens on me. So you can see the more actions you take, the more I'm going to be able to take back. So it's going to come back at you.
Okay.
So it adds that level of stress, right? Like how many actions are you going to try and trigger, because you know that that's going to come back at you. And then you can use your hope tokens to do like combo attacks, and you combine your multiple people at the same time and things like that. So it's a very interesting combat system. So I'm excited to get into it and try it, because obviously I haven't tried it yet other than just reading it. But it definitely sounds very interesting.
I can't visualize it.
Yeah.
But yeah, I'm kind of excited not to have to roll for initiative, because and I'm not the only one. I don't roll very good.
Yeah. So it feels like the system just really leans on the whole storytelling, the narrative of it, which I think will create a more dynamic gameplay, but we'll see.
Yeah. And we'll see about the rest of the character creation, because I'm afraid of that second part, the storytelling. It's just gonna end up being like, with the D&D. And I don't know if it was just fatigue in creating the character that at the end we were just like, oh yeah, we knew each other from like a letter, and I happened to pick up a letter, and it was like a very simple. And then once we got into the story and that we needed to understand better how our characters knew each other and how we came to be together, we were like, that whatever we came up with at the beginning doesn't make any sense.
Yeah. I think that's where the questions are gonna help. Because I know we haven't gone through them, but each class has their own specific questions to their class that's intended to make a little more sense of, if you're a sorcerer, you're innately born with magic and you're in tune with nature. Okay, these are some specific questions that you need to think about for your character. And then I think the party questions are going to be interesting, because they are very specific, again, kind of to your class, but also intended to get information from specific individuals in the party. So it kind of forces you to build a story, but they're not so.
I guess more than
broad
force you,
question.
it guides you, right?
It guides you, yeah. I think it guides you to build that story before the game even starts. The one thing I haven't asked everyone yet though, but I was thinking of, after we're done the character creations, I know at D&D, our daughter kind of drew pictures for you guys. Do you want to try and generate some images? I know AI art isn't everyone's cup of tea, but
yeah. Yeah, I'd be up to it. I mean, we're not gonna use it for anything though,
No,
right?
yeah.
But I think just having an image of it, like an
How
idea
you
of,
want that person to look like,
yeah, yeah, it would be cool. Yeah.
I mean, I assume my sister will probably want to draw hers, but I don't know if she has the time to either. So. I'm excited to continue into it, I guess.
Yeah.
I do
I'm not
feel
dreading
excited.
it, so. Anything that you want to ask our viewers?
Have you tried Daggerheart, I guess? They do have a lot of, I think all of their content is available free on their website.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah, so you do have digital versions of everything, from the class cards, the ancestry cards, the heritage, the spells, everything is free, including the rule book.
That's
and the
cool.
character creation sheets are too.
We'll keep you posted on part 2 of our character creation.
Yep.
Let's see if I still enjoyed it. And yeah, hopefully we'll get to be able to book something, because we know with the summer it gets a little bit harder.
Yeah.
And the time difference too, working out across different time zones.
But I'm hoping we can do at least once a month. I'm sure we can find time to do that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, probably. Hopefully.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right.
All right then. Let us know what you think about Daggerheart if you have heard of it. And if not, is there something that is perhaps piquing your interest about it? All
And
right.
we'll provide an update on Warhammer.
Yeah.
Getting that commitment.
Yeah. It's out there. You know that I can cut it off of the video, right? All right. On to the next one.
Bye.
Bye. Seriously, you're playing with yourself?
I play with myself. You better keep that in the episode, Susie.